My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we'll be discussing about the Indian Express newspaper. We'll be talking about certain article which will be important for our examination. Since we could not come live in the last 4 or 5 days, so we'll be covering important articles which were there in the past week. So we'll be covering them as well. So don't worry about the coverage. We'll be making sure that nothing important leaves behind. Okay. So let's start with the today's session. Today we have introduced one new element here in the our discussion. One is that is about know our constitution. When we are talking about the Indian constitution, it is a very big document if we talk about. So there are certain articles which are very important for our examinations. There are certain schedules, there are certain parts of the constitution which is important, preamble is important. So we'll be starting with them one by one. We'll try to cover throughout, okay, and we will be limiting this discussion to the only those parts which are important for us. We'll make sure that we will give you a brief idea about that, okay. In the further once we are done with this series, we will try to come up with something else which is related to our syllabus and the relevancy with the examinations. So let's start with the today's session, and we will be seeing this know our constitution as a new part over here, okay. We'll be talking about the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. Okay, after that we will be talking about these important articles. This is encounters in the forest of Jammu. Then PM SHRI scheme, we will be talking about this scheme. This is related to your national education policy which was released a few years earlier. So we'll be talking about that PM SHRI scheme and why this particular scheme is in news. And then Supreme Court verdict on citizenship law. Recently in Assam there was a particular case. With respect to that, Supreme Court has given a verdict and we will be talking about that, okay. Then there will be 3-4 article for your own read, because there has been 4-5 days. So these articles you have to read on your own, and they have been covered in our various programs like in news or in depth. So I'll be telling you where it was covered, so you can directly go and watch those videos, okay. Then in the end there will be a practice question for you, okay. If we talk about today's front page, here you can see this is the front page of the day. Here, encounter in the forest area of Jammu's Doda district, captain among 4 army personnel killed in Jammu and Kashmir gunfight, search operations are on, okay. Basically there was this encounter recently. These attacks or the militant activities has been more active in this particular area, and that is why there were search operations which are going on. And one such operation, or encounter was there, and in that we have lost our soldiers, okay. And in this article we'll be talking about the area first, that is the Jammu's Dota district, okay. So we'll be talking about that, and we will be talking about the behind the surge, okay, reduced troop and the intel networks. We will see what are the reason behind it. We have discussed that earlier as well, but since it is an article which is over here and your mains are supposed to happen, so this will itself be a answer, so you can go through that particular thing, okay. Now moving to the discussion part, we will start with the practice question, that is basically where is the headquarter of BIMSTEC located? New Delhi, India; Dhaka, Bangladesh; Bangkok, Thailand; or Colombo, Sri Lanka, okay. So basically Bombay is your answer, that is Dhaka, Bangladesh, okay. We have talked about BIMSTECs, okay. And now moving further and starting with the our new initiative, that is know our constitution. Today we will be discussing about the outline, or we will be seeing the what is the scheme of the constitution over here. We will see how it is divided, how many articles are there. That is not important because articles keep changing. There are various which has been repealed, there are various which has been added. That is not the point of contention, but you have to know where these articles are located. You have to know that in which part these article will be. You have to know that which article belongs to which particular element, okay. Now talking about the parts of the constitution, here you can see there are total 22 parts, okay, and nearly 395 articles are there, okay. And in the between you will see that there are certain articles which has been added, like 51A. Now this 51A says that this has been added later, okay. And if you see that there are certain articles which has been omitted as well, okay. Other than that, here you will see article 243A to O, that says that it has been added later. You know that panchayats are added later, then municipalities, they are also added later, so 243P to ZG, okay. And similarly there are certain articles which has been added. If there is an article which is having an alphabet besides that, that means that it has been added later, okay. So that is there. Now coming to the parts, okay. If you look at the this particular table over here, there are various 20 parts which are given. We will be talking about the important ones, and we will see what is the scheme. See, first, in the first part they have talked about the union and its territories. So basically they have actually given you you can say that what is India? It is a union or a federal structure. They have talked about that it is a union structure, and there are the names etc. which are given over here, and there are certain articles which are related to it. Like if you are adding a new state, or you are trying to change the name of the state, or the boundaries are being altered. In that case, there is this article 1 to 4 which are there in the Indian Constitution. These are the part 1 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, that is union and the territory. Coming to the second one, once you have decided what is the boundary of your country, what is the territory, after that there are people which are living inside the territory, so we are giving them certain benefits. These are citizenship. Okay, so basically when we are talking about the government, there are certain certain parts or of the states. Okay, one is the territory, second is the people, third is the government. Or similarly, there are 4 parts of the you can say a particular 4 part, or you can say 4 requirement are there for a boundary, or the for a area to be a state. Okay, or a nation. Okay, so one is basically your territory. Okay, we have discussed this territory. Then coming to the second part, these in territory there will be certain people which will be living over there. Okay, now these people will have certain benefits, and these benefits are given to them on the basis of their citizenship, that they are belonging to that particular area. So that is why we have the second part, that is basically citizenship. Now when we are talking about the citizenship, there are 5 to 11 articles. Okay, coming next, what are the benefits? We have said that we will be giving people certain benefits. What are those benefits? These are basically our fundamental rights. Don't doubt, there are certain fundamental rights which are given to the aliens as well. But the thing is, mostly when we are talking about the scheme, this is how it has been written. Now when we are talking about the part 3 of the Indian Constitution that talks about the fundamental rights, then you have these 12 to 35. These are the articles which are talking about the fundamental rights. Okay, then coming to the part 4, that is directive principle of the state policy, DPSPs. Okay, now these are the direction to the government, that these are the rights which we have given to the people, and now you have to ensure that. How will you ensure that? By doing these things. Okay, these directive principle of the state policies which are there in the part 4 of the Indian Constitution, and that contain articles 36 to 51. Now you know that there was this 42nd amendment. Okay, 42nd amendment, this is also called as the mini constitution, and this is the time when we have added the fundamental duties. Okay, and that is why you will see there is a part 4a, because earlier it was not there, and that is why later it was added. So we have this particular, you can say, alphabet as the suffix. Okay, so 51a, article 51a was added. In one article we have these fundamental duties. Now we have the benefits, and we have told the state that these are the benefits which we have given, and you have to work for them. And then the state has told us to that there are certain fundamental duties as well which you or the citizen has to follow. Okay, so these are the fundamental duties. Now once these elements are satisfied, that territory, people, what rights are given, what direction has been given to the states, and what duties you have, after that we have come to our system, that is basically union government. Okay, now at the union we have a government, then we have state governments. Okay, so similarly they have actually talked about union government and the state governments. Okay, so here you will see in the part 5 of the Indian Constitution, we have the union government, 52, article 52 to article 151, and then we have the state government, that is part 6, that is article 152 to 237. Okay, now similarly after that we have this part 7, which is dealing with the states in the part B of the first schedule, and this has been basically repealed. Okay, this particular part 7 has been repealed by the 7th amendment, so you don't have to worry about this much. Okay, then coming to the next part, you have covered the union, then you have covered the states. Now coming to the next, what will come? That union territories. Okay, now union territory, you know that we have this union, and there are certain territories, we have states, and then we have certain areas which are basically administered by the president, or a person who is nominated by the president. Okay, so these are the union territories we are talking about. Now we know that we have a 3-tier government. Okay, so we have talked about the union, we have talked about the state, we have talked about the union territories. These are actually part of, you can say, union, we cannot say the part of, but these are basically, you can say, governed by the president. So you can say that somehow they are under the control of the union government. Okay, then first tier government, that is union, second tier government, that is state government, then comes the panchayati raj. Okay, so you know that there was another, you can say, amendment which was done in the constitution, and with that we have come up with the part 9a was added later, but earlier we have this provision for the panchayats, and then it has been given a constitutional status later. So here you have article 243a to o, that is for the panchayats, and then we have the municipalities. These are basically your third tier government. Okay, Then coming to the next part, now we are talking about the scheduled tribe and tribal areas, that is basically part 10, and in the 11 we have the relation between the union and state. Now we have actually discussed all the entities. We have discussed the union, we have discussed the state, we have discussed the union territories, we have discussed panchayat, municipalities and scheduled tribe areas, okay, and the scheduled and the tribe areas. Now these are the you can say parts which we are governing, and later we have seeing that what are the relations between union and the states, okay. Then coming to the next one, that is related to finance, property, contract, etc., trade, commerce, which is there in the part 13. Now this here you can say this is not very much important, okay. So part 11 till part 11 you have to know everything by heart, okay. After that you can talk about the tribunals, okay. Now these tribunals are important for you. Then elections are there in the part 15, so please remember that. After that there are special provisions, official languages, you can remember the languages part as well. Emergency provision you can remember, that is part 18, and accordingly there are certain other parts which are not very much important for us. So these are the parts which are important, that is 1 to 11, and then you can come to the elections one, emergency, okay, and the there is this official language, okay. So these are the parts which are important for you. You can have a look at it, and this table becomes important for you. So please, you can, if you want, you can take a screenshot and we can move further with the next discussion topic, okay. So this is about the first discussion on our constitution, and we'll be starting with the preamble in the next, okay. So coming forward and starting with the first article of the day, which is related to the terrorism and the militant activities which are happening in the Jammu and Kashmir, okay. Now there has been certain changes which are there. There is certain you can say trends which has been changing in that particular area. We'll be seeing. First, we have seen the news that there was this encounter wherein we have lost certain soldier of ours, okay. The recent surge in the violence in the Jammu region, particularly areas of the south of Pir Panjal range. Now we are talking about this particular area. I'll be showing this particular thing in the map. Reflects a complex interplay of the factors contributing to the deteriorating security situation. Jammu region saw peace from 2003 till 2017-18, surge in the violence since then attributed to the external support from the militant groups, okay. Now they are talking about after 2003, okay, or you can say 3, 4, 5. After that, we have seen you can say nearly 15 years of the peace in this particular area. Why? Because in 2003 or the in early 2000s, you can say 1 to 2005, we have gone for the various operation in that particular area. We have got a huge support from the locals because they were also very facing difficulties from these militants, and that is why we have eliminated these situations or the you can say violence activities from this particular region, okay. We have sanitized that particular region, and that is why we have seen nearly 15 years of peace in that particular region, okay. Now reason was, first there was this intel which we are getting from the locals. Second thing was our security infrastructures were, or you can say the deployment of the forces was very prominent in that particular area, and because of which they did not get the opportunity, or the militants did not get the opportunity to go for the, you can say, such activities in that particular region, okay. After that, what happens is 2017, 18, 19, 20, if we see, you see that Doklam has, when we are talking about the issue of Doklam, that has came, and afterwards there was this issue with the, you can say, China on the LAC, then you know that there was this Galwan issue, okay. After these things, we have actually gone for the redeployment of the forces from the Jammu and Kashmir region to the China part, okay, or you can say from the LOC to LAC part. Now, because of which what happens is that there was this void which has been created in the hinterlands of the Jammu and Kashmir, and because of which these militants has got the opportunity to start these activities again, okay. Second, in 2019, you know that there was this status of Jammu and Kashmir which was changed, and because of which also they has these problems, or when we are talking about the our neighboring countries, they are not very happy about this development in India, and because of which they are also actually provoking such activities. There are certain external groups, as I told you, there is Jaish-e-Mohammed, okay, Lashkar-e-Taiba. These groups are there which are basically actually helping these militant activities in this particular region, and because of which after 2017-18, which we have seen that there is a rise in the terrorist activities in this particular area, okay. Now here you will see, this is the reason when we are talking about the Pir Panjal, you know that this range over here is basically your Pir Panjal, okay. Now south of Pir Panjal, this is Pir Panjal over here, okay, and then this part is basically south of Pir Panjal, okay. Now if we are talking about this particular part, this is Srinagar and the valley portion is there. So relatively, if you see right now, the Kashmir area is relatively at peace, but this area of Jammu, okay, that has been seeing these issues, okay. Now, when we are talking about the Pir Panjal, there are certain prominent districts which are important for you to know. That is Rajouri, there is Poonch, and right now this Raisi we have seen recently there was this attack over there. And when we are talking about Jammu over here, Udhampur is there, and then Kathua is there. This is Doda. Doda, this is the place where recent this encounter has happened. That is Doda. Okay, so this here you can see that all these activities which are happening south of Pir Panjal. Okay, earlier when we are talking about, we have seen the attacks like Pulwama etc., which was there. Okay, but these activities are, you can say, north of the Pir Panjal. These are, very less activities. The thing is, when we are talking about the Pir Panjal, if they want to come to the north of Pir Panjal, they have to cross the Pir Panjal. Now the Pir Panjal is a mountainous Himalayan mountainous range which is quite having a, you can say, difficult geography. Okay, so that is there. Now coming over here, you will see that when we are talking about the earlier attacks which has happened in this particular area, that is you can say Rajouri, Poonch, this is the area where these earlier attacks were there. They were concentrated over there. Recently, if we see, we have seen these attacks in the Raisi, we have seen the recent attack at Doda. So these attacks are basically moving towards this particular direction. So we can say that the infiltration by these militants has increased in this particular region. Now our military right now is trying to sanitize this area. That is why there are various search operations which are going on, and in the part of you can say process of that particular search operation, this encounter has happened, and because of which we have lost our soldiers right now. Now coming to the you can say what are the factors which are actually leading to these increased incidents of the violence in this particular region. Here you can say security infrastructure challenges. The first and foremost is that our infrastructure, is this sufficient or not? Okay, so if we are talking about the technological development, if we are talking about the various factors which are affecting this particular thing, so there are certain voids which has been created. Okay, so troop movement, first thing is that we have moved our troops. Okay, there was this Rashtriya Rifles which used to be in this particular region, and they were so you can say accompanied, or you can say they were so aware about this particular area that their prominence, or you can say their presence was quite important for us to have in this particular region. But these Rashtriya Rifles, they have been redeployed to the LAC sector, okay, in 2021, and because of which this counter-terrorism grid over here that got reduced, and that is why they got the opportunity. So that is the one thing that is related to the security infrastructure. Okay, second is the geopolitical factors. Okay, strategic focus on the Jammu post 2019 changes the Jammu and Kashmir's status, relative calm in the Kashmir Valley. Now after this particular status which has happened in, when we are talking about the you can say removal of the Article 370 and the status of the Jammu and Kashmir, which has been changed in 2019, 5th of August 2019. So after that, these activities were concentrated in the Jammu area because their focus has shifted, because they were not pleased about this particular activity, and that is why they have shifted their focus to the Jammu area. So that is the geopolitical factor which has acted over here. Third, if we see operational and the intelligence challenges, lack of ground level human intelligence, that is HUMINT, affecting the preemptive actions. Okay, earlier when we are talking about the times of 2001 to 2005, that point of time there were these communities like Gujars and Bakarwals. These communities were very helpful in elimination of these militant activities from this region because they have given various inputs. But the thing is, after there are certain developments which has happened for the employment or otherwise also, they have actually gone out of that particular region. Okay, and when we are talking about the local tribes or the communities which are living over there, they are having some issues with themselves, within themselves, and because of which the focus has been diverted. Okay, and that is why we are lacking such information as of now, but we are trying to fill that particular gap. Okay, so that is there. Moving further, dependence on the technology may reduce operational connectivity and the effectiveness. Now, if we are dependent high on the technology, if we are for the surveillance, if we are using the drones and we are not meeting with the local people, we will not be able to go and make a connection with them. Okay, and that is why, because of the technical advancements, if we are totally relying on the technology, that might also have a certain setbacks. Okay, so that is one. Then terrorist tactics and the support. When we are talking about the terrorist, okay, so one thing is that they have actually changed their modus operandi. Okay, how they used to operate, they have changed it. Earlier they used to operate in groups. Okay, larger groups. Okay, they used to have a particular group, or let's say Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed, like big organizations were there, and they used to take the responsibilities of the attack. But the recent activities, what they have done is that they are operating in small pockets, or you can say small groups of 3 or 4 people in the hinterland areas, and whenever they have to come out, then they will be entering the cities. Okay, so that is how they have changed the operations. Okay, there are lone wolf attacks which are happening around the world. Okay, so they have changed the tactics. Okay, so that is also, we are not very familiar with these tactics. So that is one thing. Second thing is, there are organizations which are supporting them financially, or the arms and ammunitions. So that is also there. Terrorist tactic and the support. Here you can say external support is there from the Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, etc. Use of sophisticated equipments, drones, and the narco-terrorism and the fund generation. Obviously, such activities cannot be performed without funds, so they are actually relying on the narcotics, they are relying on the drugs. Okay, so that is also one thing. They are actually generating you can say funds from there, and then they are using it on the sophisticated technologies, etc. Now sophisticated technology means here that they are using the dark web, okay, internet, etc., so that they cannot be on the radar when we are talking about the cell phone networks, etc. Okay, so these are certain things which are happening, and because of which these activities are increasing in this particular region. Okay, and our military is trying to go for the search operation, etc. So hopefully they will be able to sanitize this area once again. Okay, so that is about the terrorism. If they are asking you something, these are the challenges, these are the new challenges which you have to mention in your answers. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further with the next article. Okay, so this is the top court quashed Bihar decision to classify Tanti Tantwas as SCs. Now pronunciation can be different because this is a local name of a tribe. Okay, so that is Tanti Tantwas. Okay, so what happens is that earlier Bihar has gone for, you can say, there was this legislation, there was there, and under which they have actually given the status of SC to this particular you can say community or the tribe. Okay, so here Supreme Court says that the state government has no authority to tinker with the SC list under Article 341. Now this Article 341 becomes important. Now under the Article 341 there is a list of the communities which are under the scheduled castes. Okay, now the thing is, when we are talking about these scheduled castes which are there, okay, sorry, not scheduled tribe, but the caste. Okay, so this particular community has been given the status of the scheduled caste. Okay, now this particular list was first, when we are talking about the list was notified by the president first, and then whatever changes has to be made, that has to be made by an act of parliament. Okay, and not the state government. So state government has done that earlier, and after that they have gone to the High Court, and High Court has upheld it. Then later that issue came to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has said that you don't have any right whatsoever to tinker with this particular list, and that is why they have actually said that now their status will be back to extra backward classes. Okay, and whatever jobs which has been given to these people from this particular community, they will be shifted to the category of extra backward classes, and the whatever vacancies will be there, they will be filled by the scheduled castes. Okay, so that is there. Now here you can see the scheduled caste list specified under the notification under clause 1 can be amended or altered only by an act of parliament. You don't have to remember this notification clause 1 etc. Just know that this list can be amended by the act of parliament. That is all. Okay, here as per the Article 341, neither the central government nor the president can make any amendments or the change in the notification issued under the clause 1 without a law made by the parliament. Now even the union government cannot do it. Okay, only a law made by parliament can do it. Okay, so that is there. You can go through this particular article. That is all. You just have to remember Article 341, which says that states do not have power, president do not have power, central government do not have power. Only the act of parliament has power to change anything in this particular list. Okay, so that is about it. Now moving further to the next one, that is related to the PM-SHRI scheme. Okay, here you can see three opposition states say no to PM-SHRI, center stops school scheme funds. Okay, so there was this Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, okay, earlier, and recently after the new education policy, they have actually come up with the scheme that is PM-SHRI, and under that there are certain funds which has been given by the center, and state will they have certain proportion of the contribution. When we are talking about this particular scheme over here, 60% of the financial burden, center will be having 60% of the financial burden, and the state will be having 40% of the financial burden in the under the PM-SHRI. But the thing is, before that there was this Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, and there are certain states which are saying that we will not go for the PM-SHRI scheme. Okay, and because of which center has not sent the installments of the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. Okay, so they have sent a letter to the central government saying that the installment should be sent to the state governments. Okay, now coming to the this is the political news, that there are certain opposition states which has not actually accepted a particular scheme, and center is not sending funds for the previous scheme. Okay, that is the political news which is not important for us. What is important is that what is PM SHRI. Okay, what is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan? Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan you can read on your own, because that is an old scheme. There are less chances that they will asking about it, but they will ask about the PM SHRI scheme. Okay, so this is the issue which we have discussed. Okay, now coming to the here, this what is the Pradhan Mantri School for Rising India, that is PM SHRI, implementing the vision of the National Education Policy 2020, making India as a vibrant knowledge society. Okay, now there are certain schools which we are talking about the upgradation of these schools. Nearly we are targeting across India. There are 14,500 schools which will be targeted, and upgradation and the qualitative strengthening of the school. Basically, we are trying to increase, or you can say upgrade, the infrastructure over there to be developed as an exemplar school having all components of the National Education Policy 2020. You can go through this policy when we are talking about the National Education Policy 2020. It has been 4 years, but the implementation is not yet fully done. Okay, there are certain elements when we are talking about the school education. So they are saying that we are generating these schools, or you can say we are upgrading this school at such a level that all the elements of the national education policy will be involved over here, and these school can work as an example for the other ones. Okay, PMC school will offer leadership in making learning environment more joyful and showcasing the implementation of the national education policy through unique experimental holistic learning centric pedagogy. Okay, so basically these are the, you can say, thing, or this is basically the objective of this particular scheme. PMC school will benefit lakhs of students across the country. So that is about the scheme. Here one thing which I have told you, that there is the, when we are talking about the funding related proportion, that will be 60:40. Okay, so that is there. Now we have discussed this. You can go through this particular small you can say article over here. The 3 states which are saying that they will not be going for you can say implementation of this particular scheme, that is basically Delhi, Punjab and West Bengal. Okay, in Delhi and Punjab we have Aam Aadmi Party, and in West Bengal we have Mamata Banerjee. So basically Trinamool Congress is there. So these 3 states are not going for it. Other than that, there are 2 more states, which is basically your Tamil Nadu and Kerala. They have not yet implemented it, but they are saying that they will be doing it. They have intention to do it. Okay, so that is there. Now we can move further to the next article, which is related to the post poll EVM check. EC looks at the mock poll with up to 1400 votes. Okay, so basically in April there was this judgment by the Supreme Court which says that there will be if there is some kind of this exigency, there is some kind of you can say doubt with respect to the EVMs. So at that point of time, the candidate who was runner up, or you can say the second and the third in the race, they can go for actually the recheck or the, you can say, verification of these you can say EVMs. Okay, now at that point of time they have asked the, you can say, EC or the Election Commission of India to come up with the standard operating procedures, etc. And Election Commission recently come up with that, and they have said that they will basically go for it. The second and the third in the race, they will actually, they can actually ask for the verification of the results within the 7 days of the declaration of the results. Okay, so that is one thing which you have to remember, that is within 7 days of the declaration of the results. Okay, that is one thing. Now these 2 people who are actually asking for it, they can actually go there and they can verify it. When we are talking about the verification, EVMs are there, then we have this VVPATs, we have ballot units. Okay, so that is there which can be done. Okay, other than that, recently EC is talking about a mock poll. Okay, so basically what EC is saying, that we can go for the mock polls before the polls. Okay, and then at that point of time, the candidate or the person who is nominated by the candidate, they can come and they can check the setup of the EVMs. Okay, so basically when we are talking about EVM, there are 3 components. One is your ballot unit, there is this control unit, and then VVPATs are there. Okay, now they are actually you can say connected in a particular manner. Okay, this manner can be changing. Okay, any unit can be connected to any unit. Okay, sequence can change, but the thing is result will be same. So for that, what they have said, that the candidate can come and they can check it. They can actually choose their own setup. They can say that they want to go for this particular sequence, that control unit will be first, VVPATs will be second, and ballot unit will be third. And on the basis of which they can go for a mock poll, they can actually cast a vote, they can verify it with the VVPAT. So all these things will happen at that particular stage, and 1400 votes you can verify. Okay, so that is their Election Commission's protocol for the Supreme Court's mandate verification of the electronic voting machines used in the just concluded Lok Sabha polls, a mock poll permitting candidates to cast up to 1400 votes on the machines selected for the process. Election Commission watchdog has received 8 applications for the verification of EVMs used in the 18th Lok Sabha elections and the 3 for the assembly elections of the Andhra Pradesh, Odisha. So basically they have actually gone for the application for the verification, and now with respect to that they have come up with the standard operating procedure. In this particular judgment, as I told you that there was this judgment of the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has said that you have to go for the verification. That is why you have to keep those you can say EVMs etc. for the 45 days. Okay, so that is what is there. The provision is that after the result declaration for the 45 days, that particular thing will be there. Okay, and that they can ask for the, you can say verification after the 7 days of the, within the 7 days of the declaration of the results. Okay, so that is there. You can read about it. There are certain other things which we will be talking about, like here, idea of organizing a mock poll on the machines identified by the candidates, given that a tried and the tested method to the established efficacy of the EVMs. Now, once these mock poll is happened, the candidate has verified that everything is fine over there, then these contentions like EVM was faulty or there was this fraud, all these things will be put to rest. Okay, so that is there. The matching of the VVPAT slips with the EVM count will also be done at the same point. Whenever you are casting this particular mock vote, there will be verification. Okay, now candidate will be at the liberty to cast vote herself or get a representative to do so. Further, if the candidate wishes, the 3 parts of the EVM, the control unit, ballot unit and the voter verifiable paper trial unit can be arranged and connected in the order whichever he wants. Okay, now coming to the next part over here, you will see when we are talking about the issue in the Supreme Court, as I told you, in April there was this petition, and under that Supreme Court has dismissed the request of 100% verification of VVPATs. Opposition has asked that all the VVPATs or all the votes should be actually verified by the VVPAT. Now the thing is, if you are doing that, then what is the difference between the ballot paper and the EVMs? Because ultimately you are going for the rechecking of everything, so that will take a huge amount of effort, machinery, infrastructure. That is why Supreme Court has rejected that. But then the second and third person in the race, they can go for the such things. Okay, however, it instructed the EC to implement some modification in the post counting procedure to enhance the trust in the electronic voting system. Here you will see, for the first time, the court directed the EC to seal and store the symbol loading units. Symbol loading units are nothing but when we are talking about this ballot unit, okay, and when we are talking about the VVPATs. So when you put a button on the ballot unit, like this is the ballot unit. Okay, you have the photo over here and there are some button over here and the description of the candidate is there. So like this is the ballot unit, and you have to fill the description, or you have to store, let's say this is for the BJP, then you have to store that this button is for the you can say for the BJP. So there is this software, and then the symbol loading units are basically connected with the computers, and these things are loaded to the ballot unit. Okay, so basically they have said that you have to keep these symbol loading units for the 45 days after the results are announced. SLUs, which are memory units used to upload the election symbols to the VVPAT machines, are initially connected to a computer to load these symbols. Okay, then coming to the next one, here you can say that the candidate would get a week from the date of the results to file an application for the verification. Verification will only be possible after the 45 days after the results are announced. Okay, in a case an election petition has filed, the candidate seeking EVM verification will have to get special permission from the High Court. Now, in case if you are going for the filing a petition, then you have to get a special permission from the High Court. That is what has been discussed in the previous case in the Supreme Court, that 100% VVPAT verification will not be done. Okay. Now, coming to the parts of the EVM, here you will see this is basically your control unit. This is basically VVPAT. And this is ballot unit. I hope you understand that what is VVPAT. Whenever you are casting a vote, there will be you can say on the screen it will be reflected that this particular you have casted vote to this particular person. Okay, so that is basically your VVPAT. There will be a slip which will have an invisible ink, and ultimately that will be gone with after few seconds. Okay, so that is for the verification, and that is the control unit. Without this, whole system will not work. That is, you can say that this is the CPU of this particular machine. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now these components can be connected in any order, whichever you want, but right now it is connected in a way that first this ballot unit, which is connected with the VVPAT, which is connected with the control unit. Okay, so that is there. Now moving further to the next article, which is related to the Supreme Court verdict on the Assam man humanizing of the citizenship law. Basically, I will give you a gist of this particular thing, because they will not ask you such things. They will ask you 2 or 3 things from there. That is what is section 9. Okay, so we'll be discussing about the section 9 over here. So that is one thing. Second thing is they will ask you about the foreigners tribunals. Okay, so that is there. We will be discussing these 2 things. Other than that, the issue was that there was this person in the Assam. He has the name of his name on the 1965 election rolls. Okay, second thing is his parents were resident of that particular area, they have their name, and after that he has moved to a particular place, and over there also he has the name on the electoral roll. But after certain time there was whatever happened, and this person was actually asked that he was a foreigner, and then when we are talking about the issue of the citizenship, the burden of proof is on the person on whom we have made this allegation that he is a foreigner. Now the person or who has been alleged as a foreigner, now he has to prove in the court that he is the citizen of India. Okay, now here the issue has been there, and this issue somehow came to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has said that whenever we are saying that the burden of proof in the foreign tribunals is with the accused, or you can say alleged foreigner, at that point of time you have to first, the you can say agency first has to tell you or tell the court that these are the proof on which we are alleging that this person is a foreigner. Okay, though first you have to put these things in front of the court. The allegation should be based on the substance. Okay, these allegations should have some kind of evidence which are supposed to be there, on the basis of which these you can say all process has been started. But the thing is, in this particular case there was no such evidence, and that is why Supreme Court has said that the person is basically a citizen of India, and whatever case was actually made, that was not hold any waters, or there is no substance behind it. Okay, now on the burden of proof, what court has said that the section 9 of the Foreigners Act 1946, okay, that is basically saying that the burden of proof on the person who is alleged to be a foreigner, okay, that is on the a person who is alleged to be a foreigner. But the thing is, here they have said that the question is that does section 9 empowers the executive to pick a person at random, tell him, her, they, them, we suspect you to be a foreigner. Now the question is that whether these agencies, they can directly go to any random person and say that now you have to prove your citizenship, you have to prove your, you can say, credentials. Now that is the case. Supreme Court has said that that cannot be done. There should be an evidence, there should be something on which these allegations are based on. Okay, there was not an iota of evidence against the Ali. The name of the person was basically Muhammad Rahim Ali. So there was no proof. There was certain spelling mistakes, etc. there, but the Supreme Court has said that these spelling mistakes are human error, which can be happening at the time of the enrollment in the elections roll, etc. So you cannot just based on that you can say that this person is not a citizen of India. Okay, so that is there. Discrepancy in the spelling, so that was there. Now the thing is, if there is this discrepancy in the spelling and then you are saying that you are not a citizen of India, so there are various fears which has arisen in the mind of the people, because if there is NRC, okay, though there is no talk about NRC as of now, but the thing is, if there is a provision or the proposal of the NRC and now you are checking the spellings, then in India there are many people who might have these discrepancies. Okay, so that was there. Moving further, Foreigners Tribunal, here you will see these tribunals are basically established under the Foreigners Act. It is a colonial legacy, you can say, but then we have actually gone for the establishment of these Foreigners Tribunals in 1964. Okay, by the order of the executive order of the Home Ministry under Article 323B. You know that Article 323 basically talks about, 323B talks about the tribunals, so you can please remember that. Okay, under the provision of that constitutional provision, they have actually gone for the executive order and they have established a foreign tribunal in 1964. Now what is the job of the foreign tribunal? Basically they will deal with the issues of the foreigners. Okay, that is why it is the Foreigners Tribunal. Now once you are alleging a person that you are a foreigner, now that is when it will be the jurisdiction of the Foreigners Tribunals to go for the investigation over here. And then once you have said that you are a foreigner, then this person has to prove in the Foreigners Tribunal that he is not a foreigner. Okay, then here you can read about this particular thing. However, 3 lakh people in the Assam were declared doubtful voters in 1977, and in the subsequent years, low-ranked government official without any inquiry or notice, they were excluded from the Assam NRC, and they are now facing the foreigner tribunals. Okay, in 1977, there was one event there, 3 lakh people were alleged that they are, you can say, foreigners, and after that, basically, you can say some low rank officers were given the authority, and those who were having any kind of doubt, on whom we are having any kind of doubt that they are foreigners, now these will be actually their investigation, their case will be you can say conducted by the foreign tribunals. Okay, so that is about this article. Here only two things are important. We have established foreign tribunals in 1964 with an executive order under Article 323 B of the under the provision of Article 323 B of the Indian Constitution. Other than that, here you will see Section 9 of the Foreign Tribunal Act says that basically the burden of proof is on the foreigner, but the Supreme Court in this case says that no doubt the burden of proof is on the foreigner, but you have to have a substance on which you have made the case. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further to the next article. Okay, Bihar gets MSP for the Bihar seeks MSP for the makhanas. When we are talking about this particular crop, that is makhana, so basically Bihar is the prominent producer of this, and they are asking for the MSP. Okay, so about 85% of the makhanas are basically produced in Bihar. That is basically an aquatic crop. Okay, so that is about it. So just know that there is this a crop which is for which Bihar is famous. Okay, there are certain you can say districts. Here you will see Darbhanga, Saharsa, Madhepura, Supol, Purnia, Katihar, Araria, Kishanganj, Madhubani and Sitamarhi. These are the areas where these makhanas are actually grown. Okay, so you can go through this particular article. Other than that, they have actually said that center in the Darbhanga has only 10 staff against the 42 posts. Okay, so there is this you can say institution that is basically Darbhanga based Indian Council of Agricultural Research National Research Center for Makhana. Okay, so basically they are saying that this particular institution is not performing effectively. Okay, now moving further to the next article. India plans to overhaul state-run firms. That is basically a report. So basically here there is nothing much, but the thing is, when we are talking about the current government or the previous 2 terms of this government, they have basically said that they will go for the disinvestment or the privatization of certain non-profit making organizations. But the thing is, recently, since they have lost the majority, now this is a coalition government, so they have actually changed the you can say way they are looking at the industry. Now they are what they are saying that they will be selling the assets which are not profit making, or the assets which are basically, or you can say not efficient enough. There are lands which are not being utilized. They will sell such assets, and then they will generate some money, and they will invest these money in these industries. Okay, so here you will see the program to privatize a major portion of India's lumbering 600 billion state sector now faces more resistance from after the PM Modi lost majority in the parliament. Now basically what they are saying that the government is shifting the focus from indiscriminate asset sales to enhancing the intrinsic value of the state-owned companies. So basically right now what we are doing is that we are not going for the disinvestment, but we are trying to getting some assets are liquidated, and then these money will be used for the improvement of the efficiency of these sectors. Okay, so we are trying to change, or we are having a different you can say methodology or the perspective over here with respect to the disinvestment. Okay, so you can go through this particular article as well. Okay, there is nothing much which is given in what we have discussed the gist about it. Okay, now moving further to the next article, which is related to how India Russia trade gap threatens the rupees internationalization effort. Okay, so basically India is trying to go for the less reliance on the dollar. We are trying to make sure that we actually go for the internationalization of our own rupee, or the trade in the rupee can be increased. Okay, so basically that is the idea behind it. But now they are saying that the Russia-India trade is actually having, there are certain gaps which are actually hampering this particular process. Okay, how? When we are talking about Russia, we are taking oil, okay, and we are trying that our trade flourish. So basically we are trying to go for the exports of Russia, but the thing is the oil import is so much that there is a trade deficit with Russia. Okay, then because of the trade deficit, what is happening is that there are certain time Russia is asking payments in yuan, because obviously on Russia there are various sanctions from the Western countries, and so they do not want to deal in the dollars. Okay, so we have gone for the, you can say, deals in the rupees, but the thing is rupee is not yet a internationalized currency. So basically, and when we are talking about the Russia and China is also going for the, you can say, various trades, and they are basically dealing in the domestic currency. Okay, now the thing is, we have a trade deficit with Russia, so basically we have to pay to Russia, and now Russia is having a trade deficit with China, so basically Russia has to pay to China, and China, when we are talking about, they are also going for the internationalization of their own money. Okay, but the thing is, when we are talking about Russia is basically saying that you can make payments in the yuan, and if we start making payments in the yuan, basically we are supporting the China's currency. So basically that is the gap which is there, and that is why this particular the yuan challenge is there, how India Russia trade gaps may threaten the rupee internationalization. Okay, why is the widening gap with the Russia benefiting the yuan? As I told you, if there is a widening gap, or you can say if there is a, you can say, deficit, we have to pay, and they are asking for payments in the yuan. Okay, yuan is the most sought after the currency in the Russia stock market, even more popular than the powerful US dollar. Okay, so after Russia's currency, they are basically dependent on the yuan. Okay, the Russian oil exporters are therefore requesting payments from Indian refiners in Chinese currency, while the use of the rupee has been restricted. Okay, so basically they are not asking payments in the rupee, they are asking payments in the yuan, because that is the famous currency over here after the dollar. Okay, now if we are talking about the trade deficit, we have a trade deficit of nearly 57 billion dollars. So that is the trade deficit which we are having, and after Ukraine war, Russia's trade with China has flourished. Okay, now coming to the next one, that is basically talking about how can India internationalize the rupee. So basically, when if you are trying to internationalize the rupees, that means that more and more transactions should be there in the rupee. Okay, here to reduce the dependence on the US dollar, it does not support the yuan as the currency for the settling international trade, because obviously after if we are talking about the dollars, we there are certain elements, or you can say there are certain country currencies on which international trade is done, and one of them is yuan, but we are not very sure about the yuan. So that is why we are trying for the internationalization of our rupee, and that is why we need to make sure that more and more transactions with the various countries or the international trade is done in the rupee, and that is how we can go for the internationalization of the rupee. Okay, then when we are talking about the US dollar, nearly 88% of the trade is done in the US dollars. Okay, so we have to replace that, but the thing is that is a long way, but we are trying to go for the you can say let's say internationalization of the rupee. Why the exports to Russia are challenging? Okay, so there are various tariff and non-tariff factors are there, or you can say non-tariff and tariff duties are there. Okay, and because of which there is this issue or the gap in the, you can say, exports to Russia. And recently, in the recent visit, they have actually said that both the countries have decided to eliminate the non-tariff and the tariff barriers, so that the you can say trade can flourish. Okay, other than that, Russia led Eurasian Economic Union. Okay, so basically we have actually thinking about a arrangement that is there, that is Russia led Eurasian Economic Union, and in this particular Eurasian Economic Union, there are 5 members. One is Russia, second is Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and the Armenia. Okay, so these are basically the economies of 5 trillion, and we are trying to go for a new arrangement so that our you can say trade can flourish. Okay, moving further, Jayashankar's visit to Mauritius, and we are going for the increase in the ties with the Mauritius. You can go through this article. There is nothing much which you have to remember. Like if there is a pact which has been signed, that is not important for us. Only know that there are certain areas on which we are collaborating. That is education, culture, the, you can say, digitalization of immigration archives, etc. So these are there, and we are focusing on the India's neighborhood first policy. There is the Vision Sagar. Okay, so that is there, and the commitment to the global south. Okay, so that is why Mauritius is right now we are focusing on the Mauritius as well. As I told you earlier, we used to focus on the big countries. Now we are actually going for the development of the ties with the smaller countries as well. Okay, and that is why it becomes important for us to have you can say knowledge about the location of the Mauritius. Here you can say this particular islands over here, this is basically Mauritius. Okay, so this is your Madagascar, then we have Reunion Island, this is Mauritius, that can be important. Seychelles is important, Maldives is important for us. Here Cocos, we have talked about it. Then when we are talking about this particular over here, Andaman and Nicobar, there is this Coco Island which we have talked about, that is Myanmar's island. Okay, so these islands which are islands of Indian Ocean, you can please have a look at it. Okay, Reunion Island is also important for us. Okay, now we have taken this particular article just to show the map or the location of the Indian Oceans you can say these islands. Okay, Now here Zelensky's second summit in November says Russia should attend. Okay, so there was the second summit in the peace process. So they are saying that Russia should also attend. So that is there. Scientists confirm a cave on the move that shelter future explorers. Okay, so basically there was this, when we are talking about the caves on the moon, there are certain mysteries that whether they exist or not. But now it is been confirmed that there exists a you can say cave on the moon as well. Okay, so here you can say scientists have confirmed that a cave on the moon not far from the point where Neil Armstrong and the Buzz Aldrin has landed 55 years ago, and suspected there are hundreds more that could house future astronauts. Okay, so that has been discovered by the other than that also, there was this researchers analyze the radar measurement by the NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and which has a role to play in the, you can say, to solve these mysteries of the caves in the moon surface. Now moving further, both Home and the IT ministries pitch for the control of the nodal cyber security watchdog, that is CERT-in. Okay, so when we are talking about this CERT-in, that is computer engineering response team. Basically, when we are talking about the cyber attacks, etc., so they are basically the first one to go for the responding that. So basically now both ministries like Home and the IT ministry, they are basically pitching that this particular organization should be under them. Okay. There are, when we are talking about the Home Ministry, they have already there is this particular body which is related to the cyber security sector, which is there, but the thing is the function of that particular body is altogether different. So you can go through this article. You don't have to worry about this much thing, because they will not directly ask you, just for the information what is going on in the, you can say, national news. So that is why I have just taken this. Just go and talk, or you can say refer this term CERT-in and search about the CERT-in, what is this organization is doing. Okay, so that is about this article. You don't have to worry about this particular thing. Okay. Now for our own read, there is this article, rules for the civil servants. Okay, we have discussed this article in the in-depth, so you can go through that particular video. And for the second article, if we talk about here for your own read, that is unlawful activities in Maharashtra bill to curb urban Naxalism. We have discussed this particular bill in our news analysis discussions. So if you have not attended that, you can go through this particular you can say article. Okay, and moving further, another article is basically related to the key issues will be back in the Supreme Court, what constitute money bill. Now there are various bills which has been passed under the label of money bill, which issue has been there in the Supreme Court, and now they will be looking into it again. So we have discussed this article in the in news of yesterday's, or you can say 16th of July. You can go and watch that particular video. Now last part, that is basically the practice question for you, that is related to prelims. Which part of the Indian Constitution deals with the directive principle of the state policy? Part 1, part 3, part 4 and part 9. So that is about today's discussion. You can attempt this question and answer in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.